Good morning and welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church West. Welcome to this community of comfort, connection, challenge, and caring. My name is Eddie Daniel, and as a member of the worship ministry team, I'm happy to be leading the service today. If you are new to UU Church West, I'd like to give you a special welcome. Checking out a new spiritual community can be a courageous act, even when we're doing church virtually. We'd love to connect with you. If you send an email message to visitor@uucw.org, we will be in touch. I'd like to introduce the team of people who have contributed to today's service, all of whom are far better at this virtual stuff than I am. The music is led by Jennifer Nicolosi, our lead music director, with, as you've already heard, some help from Ruben Piirainen. Dave Cicero, our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, is also with us. The Wagner family has provided our chalice lighting video. Kelly Bognar, our publications coordinator, is working behind the scenes to manage the technology that makes our service possible. Thank you so much. Our pulpit guest this morning is the Reverend David Kraemer, minister of the United UU Congregation of Waukesha. Reverend Kraemer previously served congregations in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and Sioux City, Iowa, and became a UU minister after 24 years of work as a writer and editor for newspapers in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. Reverend Kraemer's message this morning was recorded during a sermon for his congregation on June 21st. Now please join in singing our opening hymn, number 161, Peace. The words are printed in the order of service that we sent out with our e-news on Thursday. Here is Jen.
toiling centuries of struggle, abroad on a stormy way, just to set the torch of freedom where it flames aloft today. All the old forlorn lost causes, every fair forbidden dream, and the prophet's hopeless vision, and the poet's fitting plea.
Good morning. Today, Liam, Sam, and Laura Wagner will lead us in our chalice lighting.
If you have received the chalice lighting words in an order of service this month, please join us in reading them now. We light this chalice with the courage of our deepest convictions to work for equity, justice, and peace.
By its light, we pledge our love to aid our neighbors and help heal a hurting world.
As it shines, we embrace the mystery and wonder of all that is and all that is yet to be.
Thank you. As we enter our sacred space together today, I have a question for you to consider. What do you do with something when it no longer works? Do you try to fix it? Do you try to find something else that works better to replace it? Just throwing it away certainly doesn't help if you still need the service that that thing provided for you when it did work. I'm going to share a story with you today. The story of a neighborhood that has an apartment building that no longer works for them. It used to, but not anymore. At least not for the people still living there in the neighborhood. So it gets taken down. And as we see, some people are just fine with that. After all, the old building was just a dangerous eyesore. But I don't think everyone wanted it to see it dismantled. What's going to take its place? Well, that's up to them. City Green by Diane DeSalvo. I'm only reading the first half of this book today, but the publisher is HarperCollins. There used to be a building right here on this lot. It was 3 floors up and down, an empty building nailed up shut for as long as I could remember. My friend, Miss Rosa, told me Old Man Hammer used to live there. Some other neighbors too. But when I asked him about that, he only hollered, "Scram!" Old Man Hammer, hard as nails. Last year, 2 people from the city came by, dressed in suits and holding papers. They said, "This building is unsafe. It will have to be torn down." By winter, a crane with a wrecking ball was parked outside. Mama gathered everyone to watch from our front window. In 3 slow blows, that building was knocked into a heap of pieces. Then workers took the rubble away in a truck and filled the hole with dirt. Now this block looks like a big smile with 1 tooth missing. Old Man Hammer sits on his stoop and shakes his head. "Look at that piece of junk land on a city block," Old Man Hammer says. Every day when I pass this lot, it makes me sad to see it. Every single day. Then spring comes, and right on schedule, Miss Rosa starts cleaning her coffee cans. Miss Rosa and I keep coffee cans outside our windowsills. Every year we buy 2 packets of seeds at the hardware store. Sometimes marigolds, sometimes zinnias. One time we tried tomatoes. We go to the park, scoop some dirt, and fill up the cans halfway. This time, Old Man Hammer stops us on his way to the park. "This good-for-nothing lot has plenty of dirt right here," he says. Then all at once, I look at Miss Rosa, and she is smiling back at me. "A lot of dirt?" Miss Rosa says. "Like one big coffee can," I say. That's when we decide to do something about this lot. Quick as a wink, I'm digging away, already thinking of gardens and flowers. But Old Man Hammer just shakes his finger. "You can't dig more than that. This is city property." Miss Rosa and I go to see Mr. Bennett. He used to work for the city. "I seem to remember a program," he says, "that lets people rent empty lots." That's how Miss Rosa and I form a group of people from our block. We pass around a petition that says, "We want to lease this lot." In less than a week, we have plenty of names. "Sign with us?" I ask Old Man Hammer. "I'm not signing nothing," he says, "and nothing is what's going to happen." But something did. The next week, a bunch of us take a bus to City Hall. We walk up the steps to the proper office and hand the woman our list. She checks her files, types some notes, and makes some copies. "That will be $1, please." We rent the lot from the city that day. It was just as simple as that. Saturday morning, I'm up with the sun and looking at this lot. My mama looks out too. "Marcy," she says, and hugs me close. "Today I'm helping you and Rosa." After shopping, Mama empties her grocery bags and folds them flat to carry under her arm. "Come on, Mrs. B," Mama tells her friend. "We're going to clear this lot." Then what do you know but my brother comes along. My brother is tall and strong. At first, he scratches his neck and shakes his head just like Old Man Hammer. But Mama smiles and says, "None of that here." So all day long, he piles junk in those bags and carries them to the curb. Now, this time of day is early. Neighbors pass by and see what we're doing. Most say, "We want to help too." They have a little time to spare. Then this one calls that one, and that one calls another. "Come on and help," I call to Old Man Hammer. "I'm not helping nobody," he hollers. "You're all wasting your time." Sour grapes, my mama'd say. And sour grapes is right. The next day, the city drops off tools like rakes and brooms and a dumpster for trash. Now there's even more neighbors to help. Miss Rosa, my brother, and I say good morning to Old Man Hammer, but he just waves like he's swatting a fly. Just before supper, when we're good and hungry, my mama looks around this lot. "Marcy," she says, "you're making something happen here." Something indeed is happening here. The community is working together to fill a big gap where an apartment building used to stand. They've decided what they need in that vacant lot is a garden. And what started out as the idea of just one or two neighbors has spread. Now everyone is involved in helping to make it a reality. If you'd like to know what happens with this garden, I recommend you read the rest of the story sometime. Find it in the library. We may even have a copy at church when we're back there. But today, I'd like you to imagine that the building in this story is not an old worn-out building, but an organization, like an old worn-out police department. In many police departments today, there are some parts that work, but others that are beyond fixing and need to be replaced. In some communities, the police themselves are a threat to the fair, just, and peaceful world that we, Unitarian Universalists, envision for everyone. Is it scary for you to imagine getting rid of a system that's been in place for so long? Going back to the building analogy from our story, some cities decided to tear down large housing projects because they no longer served the needs of their residents. They had become downright dangerous places to live. But people need affordable housing, so alternatives had to be in place. Now, you may have noticed that not every building in our story was torn down. People were still living in other ones on the block. They were still functioning. But that one had become dangerous and was beyond fixing, so the city got rid of it. And it was up to the community then to figure out the best way to use the land that it was on. So it is with recent calls to defund the police. Now that doesn't mean getting rid of the police altogether, leaving nothing in its place, just replacing the parts that don't work properly. Today, our pulpit guest will be sharing with us his thoughts about what's needed in the efforts to reimagine our policing system and how that fits in with our theology. Just remember, what replaces those parts of the police department that need to be torn down is really up to us, the community that they are designed to serve. That means putting our beliefs into action and pitching in with whatever time and energy we have to give. And working together, I believe we can create the fair and just world that we want for all.
For our second hymn, please sing along with a recording done by the Reverend Suzelle.
Our song is hymn number 368, Now Let Us Sing, by an anonymous composer. This is a two-part zipper song, which means that only one word changes in each verse. There are two parts. I'm going to sing the first part twice, and then we'll add the second part. You'll find the words in your order of service, but they're simple. Now let us sing, 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 and that line repeats. And then the next line is lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. And the second part is sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the faith within. Let's go. Yeah. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the hope within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the hope within. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the hope within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the love within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the love within. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the love within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the joy within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the joy within. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the joy within.
Our meditation today is entitled Peace by pupils from the Lincoln School. Peace means the beginning of a new world. It means that nations are friends. It means joy to the world. Peace is quiet and calm. It is rest. It is silence after a storm. It is love and friendship. It is the world's dream of dreams. Peace brings comfort and happiness. It brings bread to the hungry. It brings prosperity to the nations. It means the strong respect the weak. The great respect the small. The many respect the few. Peace is like spring after winter. It brings sunshine into the world. It is like sweet music after harsh sounds. One of the most common demands that we've been hearing from the protests that continue to rock our country since the brutal killing of George Floyd has been to defund the police. But what does that mean exactly? Here is David Kraemer to help explain it for us.
Defund the police. Sounds extreme when you first hear it, right? What would it really be like if there were no police tomorrow? Would chaos reign? Would not people be free to rob their neighbors or drive drunk or commit all kinds of mayhem? Will people be left to defend themselves, or will private security forces spring up, bound by no laws and able to use force as they see fit? And not all cops are bad either. What about the good ones? What about the ones who show up at a domestic call and are able to talk things down? Or who chat people up downtown during Friday Night Live? Or who clean up a pile of trash underneath a park bench, like I saw just this week? Doesn't defund the police sound like a slogan? Like something people say because it's easy? At best, maybe it helps cause something else to happen, something less extreme maybe, but something better than what we have now. Like a negotiation strategy. If I ask for one thing, I'll only get one thing, but if I ask for 10, I might get 5. But if you listen to the voices actually calling for defunding the police, if you hear what they are saying, they're not talking about negotiation. And they are also, and most definitely, not talking about chaos. Defunding the police is actually a real idea. And I'm going to say it's an idea that we as Unitarian Universalists are called to embrace. An effort called MPD 150, which is centered in Minneapolis and has been working toward a police-free future, responds in an FAQ. Police abolition work is not about snapping our fingers and instantly defunding every department in the world. Rather, we're talking about a gradual process of strategically reallocating resources, funding, and responsibility away from police and toward community-based models of safety and support and prevention. The people who respond to crises in our community should be the people who are best equipped to deal with these crises, rather than strangers armed with guns who very likely do not live in the neighborhoods they're patrolling. We want to create space for more mental health service providers, social workers, victim survivor advocates, religious leaders, neighbors, and friends, all of the people who really make up the fabric of community, to look out for one another. So one way to think about this is that defund the police means devoting more resources toward the front end and less to the back end. Most people understand that our prison system right now does not actually work to prevent crime. In fact, just the opposite. When we send people to prison, they come out less able to fully participate in society. So the only answer we have is to keep locking people up. That's a vicious cycle. And the police are the first step on that wheel. But MPD 150 says crime isn't random. Most of the time it happens when someone has been unable to meet their basic needs through other means. So really, to really fight crime, we don't need more cops, we need more jobs, more educational opportunities, more arts programs, more community centers, more mental health resources, and more of a say in how our own communities function. In fact, defunding the police is exactly what the city of Camden, New Jersey did in 2012. At that time, Camden was the most dangerous city in the nation. It also had a wildly corrupt police department, which routinely planted drugs on citizens and created this escalating cycle of violence. More drugs meant more cops, which meant more drugs, which meant more cops, until the city just about collapsed under the cost of policing, which was driven higher and higher by the union. So what they did was fire them all. Camden did not entirely get rid of its police department. After firing the whole bunch, it hired back just 100 officers at an average wage of about half of what they were paying for officers before, and the windfall went toward new educational and workplace programs and demolishing blighted and abandoned buildings. Most importantly, the police force turned its focus from an us versus them battle to a de-escalation of violence. Camden is still dangerous, but it's way better than it was. In this time of awakening consciousness, as people call on their own communities to reconsider their police, it's important to distinguish between reforms that actually pump more money into police departments and measures that reduce funding to police. Body cameras, community policing, more training, oversight boards, all of these ideas that sound progressive actually cost more money and serve to increase policing, not reduce it. Suspending paid administrative leave for officers under investigation, withholding pensions for violent officers, capping overtime, backing off from programs that militarize police departments. These are ways to actually reduce money, save money, reduce policing. Defunding police, however, is not a zero-sum game with the cost of social services balanced against the costs of law enforcement. Defunding police is actually about building a world in which a police force based on a theory of deterrence is not even seen as necessary. What would a police-free world look like, asks MPD 150. A community-centered lifestyle where the young, the old, and everyone in between are full participants. Everyone's whole beings are prioritized. Everyone's needs are met. We can focus on healing historical and intergenerational trauma. People take ownership of public spaces and respect boundaries and collectivity. Justice is prioritized over retribution, healing over righteousness. No one is disposable. That sounds to me a whole lot like beloved community, the world we seek, the world that is in and among us now, if only we make it so. From the reading we offered at the start of this message, peace brings comfort and happiness. It brings bread to the hungry and respect to all. Peace means the beginning of a new world. I am not looking for some end time when all will be revealed. I am looking for the ways that we make beloved community real right now. Defunding the police sounds a whole lot like that. May we make it so.
Each week, we invite you to give generously to support Unitarian Universalist Church West and its many ministries. Ministries of caring, compassion, racial justice and social justice, learning, and spiritual growth. We also include among those ministries the work of our Split the Plate partner organizations. You can make a gift online by going to uucw.org and clicking on the Donate tab. You can also give via text message simply by sending UUCW to 73256. And it's possible to mail in a check to make your gift. Watch your screen because all the information about the ways to give will appear there in just a moment. In the meantime, thank you. We appreciate so much your generosity and your commitment to UU Church West.
In closing, the Reverend Kraemer writes, there was a poem that was offered up at the end of a meeting of UU the Vote recently. It is by a woman named Junauda Petrus. The poem is entitled, Can We Please Give the Police Departments to the Grandmothers? When I tried to Google it, the search engine asked me, do you mean give the police department to the grandmasters? No, that is exactly what I do not mean, but that is exactly the problem. I invite you to Google this and go far enough to actually get to the poem. Read it for yourself, it's beautiful. What I get from it is that if we gave the police department to the grandmothers, it will be for them to it will be them who show up in times of trouble. Grandmothers who will ease your mind. Grandmothers who will tell you you are loved, who will tell you to seek justice, and who will help you find peace.